There needs to be a bunch of these things wrapped together. So there's one sales rep in Czechoslovakia selling ads on the Cartoon Network or what have you. And it just needs to be a cleaner story and unfuck the story that is media companies now that have growth, but also have declining assets in the same portfolio.
Brag about that. I have another prediction that you made back in December when Warner Brothers split into two units. It split into its streaming and studio business and then also its cable linear television network business. It didn't separate into two different corporations, but it split into at least two units. And this is what you said.
This is a preview. This is making it, he's setting the table for a spin. And that is, he's creating distinct operating units such that the spin will be more elegant and easy. And the fact that the stock is up 15% now today is basically the market saying, oh, you're flirting with a spin? Well, come on over here. This means the spin, in my opinion, is going to happen.
Woo! 2 for 2. Your
Yeah,
reactions.
well, my observation on the first prediction is I'm awesome, and my observation on the second one is I'm ridiculously fucking awesome. Anyways, I'm very much enjoying this so far. Okay, so this was an easy one. We have, a 24-year-old living with a 72-year-old. I don't know where I got that. It's just, it's just not a clean
I'm with
story.
you. It makes sense. Yeah.
It's not a clean story. So this is a clean story. It's often referred to as good bank, bad bank. What was interesting is who gets to take the debt with them. They have about $34 billion in debt. And it looks like the bad bank is going to take the assets or the debt because, I knew that Zaslav was going to get to go with the fun young party, right? He was going to get to go and do Warner Brothers HBO because that's more fun, and he's on top. And any guy that talked shareholders into what was a ridiculously fucking stupid merger to begin with is totally focused on his own lifestyle, not on shareholder value. So the CFO is going to run the declining assets. Now, the bad bank might be the better buy based on valuation, because if you can cut costs faster than revenue declines, you end up increasing EBITDA, and these can be good assets. Zaslav will get a higher multiple on fun assets and get to go to the Vanity Fair Oscars party. But the real winner here has been this kind of carousel of bankers, lawyers, and management compensation. Since AT&T acquired Warner Brothers and then sold it again, the bankers and the lawyers have garnered about $500 million in fees. And then you add in $350 million in compensation for Zaslav, despite the fact this company has seen its shareholder value cut in half. You have almost $1 billion in fees to bankers who talked these people into doing this and said, hey, David, you're going to get or justify a massive pay increase when you take this thing and merge it. And shareholders here have been left in the cold. So this has been one of those, what I call the consultants have taken over, the bankers, the lawyers and management have taken over, and the people who've gotten, I don't know, what's the term, fucked, are the shareholders.
What do you think was the conversation in the boardroom? Because this is a hard message to put out there to merge these two companies, as we saw in 2022, Warner Brothers merging with Discovery, and they made a whole pitch about that, not really acknowledging the fact that the cable assets were in decline. And this is essentially an admission that they were wrong. They're coming out and saying, never mind, we're just going to undo everything we did 3 years ago. What do you think that the pitch was in the boardroom? How are they justifying that?
Well, they'll come up with all sorts of narratives for why the market has changed. This was a Frankenstein. Time Warner has been at the center of the worst acquisitions in history. They agreed to sell themselves when they had real assets to AOL, which was literally plummeting in value. And then they pulled an AOL and they sold their assets as they were about to go into structural decline into AT&T, who loved the idea of going vertical because they just saw, they thought, okay, we need some point of differentiation and we can capture people. And if they buy an AT&T phone, give them Game of Thrones, that never materialized. And then they got to pull a Time Warner and sell their declining assets at a premium to Zaslav and his crew, who convinced people that it would be worth billions of dollars to let him move to LA and buy Jack Warner's home. So in sum, there's no fiduciaries here. My guess is Brian Roberts and Comcast, to the extent they're allowed to, have probably advised on the post-split structure to make it easy for them to merge with their Comcast assets. And basically, the CFO, who I think is kind of the adult in the room, is going to spend the next 3 years consolidating like CNN and MSNBC's newsroom. And basically, unless you're in front of the camera, unless you're Anderson Cooper, be careful.